Years ago, my husband Curtis walked in while I was doing a painting, and I was working on yet another tutorial painting where I had changed the subject's hair color to match mine. And he said to me, "Is every painting you do a self-portrait?" And I said, "Of course." Well, I've been thinking about that ever since. What started as an observation about my chosen hair color in paintings turned into something so much deeper. And this week, I wrote a whole song about it while working on the portrait section of the Milan Art Mastery Program. That is Part 1, Section 4.
Every face I paint is me. Every animal and tree. Every building is my home. Every landscape's where I roam. My art is me. I am my art. I am an artist.
If you're new here, hi, I'm Donna, and I am really glad that you found me. I'm working my way from hobbyist to professional artist this year, and I am sharing it all on YouTube and in my newsletter. The painting you're watching is my first portrait for the newly revised Part 1, Section 4 of the Milan Art Institute Mastery Program I've been taking. Now, Milan has updated the program, and I've been going through every part of the new training, noting the differences. And once again, the revisions in this section have not let me down. The old version threw you right into your first portrait with no discussion of proportions at all. This version gives you the actual lessons on human proportions and observing plane shifts on the face before you ever pick up a brush, and that is a big deal. The assignment for this section is a layered acrylic portrait, and there are 4 stages. You start with a dark, transparent wash, and then you use subtraction to pull out the drawing and get you started on the value study. Now, before I go any further, I want to be transparent with you and let you know that I'm not only enrolled in the Milan Art Mastery Program, I am also an affiliate. What it means is I have signed up to get a link. And if someone buys through my link, then I am giving them a bonus of being my accountability partner through the whole system. The link is in the description, but it doesn't cost anything more to you. The Milans will supposedly send me $300 if anyone signs up through me. I will let you know if and when that happens. However, the fact that I am an affiliate in no way impacts how I review the program, and a look into my past videos about the Milan program will show you just how true that is. I do not pull punches. So stage 2 of this painting is the beginning of refinement with transparent colors. You start adding in layers and layers of transparent, and you eventually go on and develop the final stages with opaques. I've called the quick wash and then the subtraction really 2 stages. It's actually part of the same thing because you have to do the wash and the subtraction very, very quickly together because the paint dries. So then the next stage is the beginning of the refinement of that image with transparent colors. You add in all versions of transparence, light to dark, just getting in values and starting to stack the brush strokes to further refine your drawing. Now, the new Milan program comes with a really good set of reference photographs to choose from. The new references are so good. They range in all ages and genders, and they all pretty much have dramatic lighting and plenty of detail to work from. And I picked this one because of the freckles. I have freckles, I like them, and I also like that her gaze is direct. I love painting light-colored eyes, so stay tuned for the irony that is to come as a result of that. Now, I chose the Milan program, but I'm basically a project-based learner. I have been learning by doing my whole life, not by really following a linear prescribed path. Which, yes, is exactly why I'm enrolled in this structured program, hoping to give my learning some structure. And it is also, thankfully, project-based. I am hungry for information. I have always needed to understand the why and the how, and proportions. This is the why behind every portrait that doesn't look right, and you can't figure out why. It's always about the proportions. And maybe the value. So I'm really loving and appreciating the new trainings. Not only have they laid out the information much more clearly and accessibly than before, but the projects are demonstrated with every brush stroke included, and that makes it so much easier to follow the techniques when you just need to observe a little bit more, which my brain always seems to need to do. Now, I felt a weird combination of confident and lost when I was working on this piece. Confident because it's acrylic, and I know that anything that goes wrong in acrylic, you just paint over it and then paint it again. So you can continually paint over your painting and fix it and correct it ad infinitum, forever and ever. And while I was working on the transparent layers, these are forgiving. You know, you're kind of figuring out as you go, nothing feels final, it's transparent, you know that the opaques are going to go on top of it. And then you switch to opaques. And that is the moment when I began to feel a little bit lost. Because the moment I switch from transparent to opaques, that's when you want to start making final statements. The opaques are meant to be laid down and stay there. And that transition is what I really want to talk about. I am a painter who loves tight detail. You'd think the opaques would be my happy place. But right now, I am working on trying to paint more loosely. And going from transparent play into these committed statements about the opaques felt like an actual risk. The transition was the scariest part of this portrait to me. Here's the part of the piece that I was really nervous about. There's this big, smooth, bright, expansive skin along the jawline and on the right side of the mouth, and large, bright areas that look smooth, and I'm not quite sure how to convey these with purposeful brushstrokes. There's nowhere to hide in them. Now, for the color on this piece, I made a not quite deliberate choice to work from an all secondary palette. Purples, greens, and yellow oranges. I pretty much start every artwork with purple. And you'll barely see purple in this finished piece, but purple is mixed into almost every color on this canvas. My palettes always start with purple. It's my default. Green plus a little purple makes a beautiful dark color, so all of the things that look black here are just a combination of purple and green. Oranges and yellows with a little purple in them turn into a glorious array of skin tones that you can't mix any other way, with white, of course. Now, I used no primaries to start, no blues, no reds, and the only yellows were these orangey yellows. I wanted the skin tones to feel rich and complex, not clean like an illustration. I brought some pinks into the light areas at the end on the complexion, and that helped me keep those a little bit warmer. But I held back the true red and blue until I got to the details. There's a little bit of blue in the eyes. Even the background, which looks blue, is actually just a toned down green color. Her shirt and her lips, I brought out the beautiful cadmium red for it because I just really love the way those reds pop off the page. Everything else has a nice earthy naturalness to it. There are a few mistakes in my paintings that I decided to just leave. Her face in my version is rounder than the reference. I noticed it. I could have moved the features, but I chose not to, because fixing the proportions mid-painting is surgery, and I'm trying to stay loose. If this were a commission or if it were going for photorealism, I would have fixed it, but this time I didn't need to. And then also, I forgot to paint her freckles, the whole reason I picked her, and I realized at the very end and decided she didn't need them. Now, I want to tell you about something I've started doing in the Mastery Program coaching group that helps me get better feedback on my work, because I think it's genuinely useful and I haven't heard other people talk about it. When I post my work for feedback, I include a self-critique in the original post. I always include everything that I see that I think could be improved, and I include part of what I like the most from my piece, because I don't want to sound like I'm too hard on myself. And I generally share a little bit of something about how I'm feeling while I'm working on it. And here's what I've noticed. The feedback that I get from coaches goes substantially deeper when I do that. They don't have to spend their time restating the obvious mistakes that I have made and I can clearly see on the canvas. They find something I didn't see or didn't mention. They see something less obvious, something more instructive. And it's like giving a really good editor a clean draft instead of a roughed one. With a clean draft, they can give you notes that actually move the work forward instead of telling you things that you already knew you had to fix. So, about the song. I don't paint many portraits. You pretty much saw all of them in this initial opening piece. So, as I was starting this one, Curtis's old question came back to me. Is every painting you do a self-portrait? And I wasn't planning on changing the hair color in this one. But the answer is still, of course. But my reasons are so different now. Every decision I make about color, about light, about expression, even the reference photo that I choose, it's all filtered through who I am, through my aphantasia, my anxieties, my sense of what is beautiful, my version of what a face is trying to say. So I'm not really painting her, I'm painting my understanding and interpretation of her. And that is always going to be, at least a little bit, me. So much of what I'm experiencing lately as I try to start moving from a hobbyist to a professional artist and start my art career is this rather painful identity shift. Right now I make art that feels like me. Me and the painting feel like the same thing. The piece isn't separate from the person who made it. And that's a beautiful feeling. But it's also a problem if I want my art to go out in the world and live somewhere without me. So I wrote a song about it, and it's called The Quiet Cost. Part of it is a love letter to the fact that every piece I make is me. And part of it is me trying to release that, so I can start making art that doesn't have to be perfect and doesn't have to stay mine. Here it is.
Not every piece I create will find a forever home. Some are here to teach me what I couldn't learn alone. Sketchbook pages never intended to be shared. So much artwork I've created lies without fanfare. Every face I paint is me. Every animal and tree. Every building is my home. Every landscape's where I roam. My art is me. I am my art. I am an artist. I am the art. There is a quiet cost to making things with care. My work is not always seen, but my soul is always there. The quiet cost of sharing, being brave about my art. When the work isn't a hit and I've exposed my heart. Every face I paint is me. Every animal and tree. Every building is my home. Every landscape's where I roam. My art is me. I am my art. I am an artist. I am the art. is my art.
That song was number 18 on my 25-track Artists Studio album that I'm creating. I'm releasing it here for free on YouTube on May 2nd, and I'm so excited. Be sure that you are subscribed so you can have positive, uplifting, motivational music to play to as well. So here's what it all comes down to. There is a layering principle that runs through a lot of the Milan trainings and everything I've learned in Section 4. You start with a dark wash, and that's the structure and supports what you're doing. And then you subtract, you take away what doesn't belong. And you build up transparents, these thin layers that let the light through. And then the opaques, confident final marks that say, this is what I meant. That's true for the portrait. It's true for the song. I'm starting to think it might be true for this whole journey from hobbyist to professional. That becoming an artist is just those same steps, that same refinement process, done over years instead of hours. The quiet cost of it is real. There are paintings that nobody sees. There are sketchbook pages not intended for sharing. Work that teaches you things you can't put into a caption. But my soul is always there in every piece. And I think that's enough. So that's the painting, the song, and the Milan Art Institute Mastery Program, Section 4. When I stepped back at the end, I was happy with her. Even though I never painted on those freckles that attracted her to me in the first place, I didn't need them anymore. She didn't need to look like me. If you're working through the new Milan revisions and want to compare notes, I'm writing about every section as I go. The deeper version of this story is always in this week's newsletter. Find the link to my Substack in the description. And if you want to follow the program for real, the Milan affiliate link is down there too. Buy through it and I'll be your daily accountability partner the whole way. We'll get through this together. I'll see you in the next section.
My art is me.